Good Wednesday evening, everybody. Welcome to the February webinar about goals. All right, who is excited to be inside of their warm house with their warm computer instead of out driving on snowy roads? Because some of you might be in really nice places, but I've been watching the chat and a lot of you guys were talking about snow that you received. So if you're excited to be here, please raise your hand. So this is practice. You're going to find the button at the bottom of your screen where you can raise your hand, because it then lets me see. What it does when you raise your hand, it moves your name to the top of the list on my webinar list here. So then my brain goes, oh my gosh, look, Cindy's here and Sharon's here and Bradford's here and Brooke's here and Marlene's here. And when you raise your hand, yours goes to the top of the list. And there's Susan and Carla and Leanne and Amy and Christine and James and Joanne. Woohoo! I love it, love it, love it. Yeah, so you can even cheat the system a little if you want your name to keep going back to the top. Put your hand down, put it back up, and then I see your name again. You guys never knew that, right? But now you do. All right, so now I'm going to put everybody's hand down. I have a button for that here. And then I have another question for you. My next question for you is, who was in my January webinar when I also talked about goals? If you listened to my January webinar, I want you to raise your hand for me. Oh, not very many of you. Well, you are in for a treat. Both those of you that were in the January webinar and those of you who weren't, you are going to learn something new today about goals. And so let me share my screen right here. There we go. So today, the title of our webinar is Others Are Accomplishing Their Goals. Why aren't you? Have you ever felt like there was a goal that you wanted, that you could see other people accomplishing it, but you weren't? Or perhaps maybe you've not known how to put that goal into words. Has that ever happened? Or perhaps you were afraid even to choose what you wanted, because it feels like in the past when you choose what you want, that it gets ripped away from you. Can you relate to any of those? Oh, I lost my hands. Where are they? There they are. Yeah. So if you can relate to any of those. Sorry, Zoom is demanding that I pay attention to it. All right, if you can, I love it. Now I see people putting their hands up and down so that their names will go to the top of the list. I love it. I have created a new behavior. So let's ask this question. Who could use some upgrading in their understanding of how to create what they want in their lives? Raise your hand if that's you. If you could use some upgrading in how to create what you want in your life, raise your hand. All right, there we go. About a little over half of you are raising your hand on that one. Okay, good to know. So then, did you like my pictures I brought up here at the last second? I want to know, at the last second, at the very beginning of the webinar, at the last of the music. Do you spend more time running from figurative tigers? So in the chat, I can also read everything that you type in the chat. So we're going to communicate with our raise the hand button and with our chat tonight. So that's how I know that there are other people on this webinar for me. So I want you to answer some questions for me in the chat. So if you're on your phone, you also have a chat button at the bottom of your screen. If you're on your computer, you have a chat button. Find your chat button, because I want you to answer some questions for me. And if you just can't find your chat button, then get a pen and paper, because I want you to write down the answers. I would love it if you could put them in the chat, because tonight, this is you and me having a mentoring appointment. This is you and me talking about your goals, your dreams, your tigers in your life. And so my next question for you here is, what are those tigers that you spend a lot of time running from? What are they? Can you put a name on them? I had a mentoring appointment earlier today where we talked about this exact subject. And so I asked that person, I said, can I share some of the things that we talked about in this appointment? And this person gave me permission. So you're going to hear me bringing up some of those things. So this person, she said that some of the things that she spends time running from are, hang on, I got to get my notes back on. Oh, wrong place. All right, hang on. There we go. All right, so she said that some of the things she spends time running from are no sleep. Anybody relate to that one? Perfectionism, distractions, old programs. I like these. Procrastination, afraid of what others think of me, expectations, big projects, old ways of thinking, fear, survival mode, doubt, old stories, confrontations. Good. So just so you know, if you will actually take the time to write down an answer to the questions that I ask you today, then you will benefit greatly from this webinar, because it's our mentoring appointment. You and me, we're going to have this mentoring appointment tonight. So let me just throw this out there really quick. To get the most out of the webinar tonight, you want to be present. So that means answer the questions, type the answers so that I can answer, so that I can see what you're struggling with. Because what I excel at is being able to help people figure out how to step around or over or through or just completely get out of the way the things that they're struggling with. But I can't if I don't get the answers to the questions. So be willing to answer the questions. And then to also get the most out of the webinar, attend the webinar to the end. Attend the webinar to the end. And then at the end, I have a gift for those who stay all the way to the end of the webinar. Okay? So the answers that you're giving me here are really good. Not knowing where to start or wanting to start, children, others changing what you want. Ooh, that one's good, James. Others moving what it is that you want. Routines, fear of failure, distractions, the goals seem overwhelming, fear of failure. Okay, everybody, that's a lot of tigers that we're running from. So everybody take a deep breath. That's a lot. That can feel really heavy. And some of those things can feel really scary. We can be running from, it's 17 degrees at my house right now. We can be running from fear of doing something that makes our gas shut off, or looking at the news and seeing things that are happening in other parts of the country or the world and being afraid of those. There's lots of tigers that we can be running from. But what is your dream? If you could run towards your dream instead of, and I have another picture I like here too. So let me show you this one. If you could run towards your dream instead of just running from tigers, what is that dream? Type it in the chat for me. What is the dream that you would love to be running towards instead of running from tigers? A new business. That's a good one, Rachel. A new business. Okay, now this one might be a little harder to put into words. What is that dream that you want to move towards? What do you actually want? Can you put that into words? Because this is what I find when I mentor people, is that very often they can tell me what their tigers are, but they struggle to tell me what their dreams are. They don't know how to tell me what they want. Because usually because they spend so much time running from tigers, what they want is some peace from running. They just want to have a chance to not be running. An even better relationship in my marriage, financial security. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people who have given me a want. So let's consider that for a moment. The people that you interact with on a daily basis, the people at the grocery store, the people in classes that you attend, the people in your family, they are doing the same thing. They're spending so much time running from tigers that they don't have a chance to sit down and actually say what they want. Joanne says, clutter-free to flow, better health, becoming a real and successful life coach, peace and comfort, emotional intimacy, an organized home. Okay, good. So I've given you some time here. So there's some more answers coming out, which is good. But notice you guys, it takes us some time. We actually have to breathe a little bit and think about it to be able to say what we want. But we can say what our tigers are super fast. Is that a problem, do you think? Is that a problem that it's easier? I mean, if I were to run into you at the grocery store, I love it. My kids have this joke that it's really funny to them that people will stop me at the grocery store because they know who I am. And so my kids always say, so how long is the grocery store going to take if we go with you? Which I think is awesome. I love to get to see people in the flesh. It's awesome. But if I was to run into you at the grocery store and I got to say, hey, you know what? I remember you were on that webinar that we did in February. Tell me, what is it that you want? Would you have it ready? Would you be able to tell me quickly? Because this is what I see all the time, is that people can tell me quickly what they're running from, but not what they want to run towards. So we need to address that. So one of my goals for you by the end of this webinar tonight is that you can see how your brain is mistakenly helping you pay attention to tigers to try to keep you safe. But instead, I want you to be able to see how to pick what you want and let go of that fear, that those tigers that are chasing you, let go of those so that you can step on the path that leads to your dreams. Because did you realize the path where you run away from tigers is not the same path where you run toward your dreams? And you need to know how to get on the right path. So tell me, let me check and see if we're in the right place at the right time, if we're having the right mentoring appointment here. So I need to know, do you want to know how to get onto the right path? Since you just found out that the path that leads towards your dreams is different than the path that runs away from tigers, do you want to know how to change and get on the right path? If you do, raise your hand for me. Raise your hand so I can see if there are people here. Because if there's only like a third of you, then maybe we'll change subjects. But if a lot of you want to know how to get onto that right path, okay, I'm seeing a lot of hands go up. So I'm going to put the hands down, and I'm going to give you a chance here. If that's not something you need to know, raise your hand for me. Say, Anna, I don't need to know how to do that. Okay, that one's easier. I'm not seeing a single hand go up on that one. So that means we want to talk about this. So let's get at it, shall we? So I want to get running towards my dreams. Oh my gosh. And to know what my dreams are and to be excited about that. Better health, knowing I am on the right path. Sometimes we lose the goal trying to stay up on the day-to-day. Yep. Develop new facets of my business. Yes, I want to get on the right path. All right. Clean, organized, decluttered home so I can move ahead with other dreams. Love it, love it, love it. Okay. So now here's the biggest problems that I've been seeing recently. So you guys know that I do these webinars once a month. I don't charge for these webinars, but some of you probably would do well to ask, where does Anne come up with information that she shares on these webinars? That's a great question. Somebody should ask me that. Well, I'm going to pretend one of you asked me that. So I'm going to pretend that you asked me, Anne, where do you come up with the stuff that you share in these webinars? Every week, what I do is I hold personal and group mentoring appointments every single day. I have different slots on different days, but I hold appointments every day. And in those appointments, I keep track of what the most common struggles are that people are up against. Because what I know is that you and we're on the same planet. We're encountering a lot of the same things. And since we are, I know that the things that help people in their mentoring appointments are that they come up repeatedly. So if I see a subject come up at least 3 times during the week, then I know that that's something that more people need to hear. And so the things that I'm sharing with you are things that other people have struggled with. Now, why would that be important? One of the reasons that's important is because you need to know you're not the only one that struggles with this. You're not the only one that struggles with tigers, that struggles with dreams, with being able to put words on their dreams. You're not the only one. And the reason why that can be very liberating is because your brain is wired. And I'm a science-based person, so I'm going to have to talk to you about how your brain works. And your brain is wired to not only just pay attention to the negative more than the positive, but your brain is wired to not move forward. It really is. And so you need to understand how your brain is trying to help you because it doesn't understand what you want. When you can't show your brain what you want, your brain has to defend what it already knows. And what you want is in the future and hasn't happened yet. It hasn't materialized. All of these things that you've told me that you want, all of these things, those things are in the future. They haven't happened yet. And since they haven't happened yet, your brain needs to be taught how to get to them. It needs to be taught. Now, it doesn't have to know everything because your brain is so cool. Your brain, here is a brain right here. And your brain has a right side and a left side. And if you guys weren't here in January, I got to tell you a little bit about your brain so that you know how your brain is trying to protect you. So I'm going to come and teach you some things about your brain. And then I'm going to talk about the exact things that I've seen come up over and over and over again in the last 2 weeks. In fact, before this webinar, I went back because this cool journal, I just started this journal on January 26th is when I started this journal. And so I went back and I have a page here for every mentoring appointment that I've held since January 26th. So I have the front side is one mentoring appointment and the back side is the next mentoring appointment. So that's, I don't know how many that is. 30, 50, that's a lot of mentoring appointments. And I went back and I looked through those and I was like, yep, I am right on target. These are the exact things that people have been struggling with. So if you want to be able to learn from other people's struggles, you can move forward faster. So do you vote to learn from other people's mistakes, other people's struggles, other people's learning? Do you vote to learn from that? Then stick with me on this webinar. Stick with me here because we're going to talk about that. So look here, I put some of the since it's just you and me, let me tell you another thing. When I'm holding mentoring appointments, I love it when the person I'm talking to has an aha. I write it down. I write down their words because I love to keep track of those. So I shared some of them with you right here. So one person said, because I always ask them at the end of their mentoring appointment. So I'm going to ask you tonight at the end of yours, to tell me your biggest takeaways. And this person said, I realized my life is a ride to be enjoyed, not a problem to be fixed. Isn't that cool? Here's another one. I need to grieve the version. Oh, I typed it wrong. Sorry. The version of parents, and you could make that a fill in the blank. I need to grieve the version of parents that I will never have. That, you know what, if one of the things that is holding you back in your life is that you wished that your upbringing would have been different, then you need to go through a grieving process of letting go that you won't have different parents. You won't. Here's another one. Your day pulls down on you, but where you start your day is your choice. So if I start my day at a low level and my day pulls on me, I'm going to end up even lower. But if I start my day at a higher level and my day pulls down on me, I'm going to be higher up. So where I start my day is my choice. Here's another one. Evidence doesn't come first. Belief comes first. When you know what you want, you won't stay stuck. Oh, and I have so many more. Those are the ones I just typed up. Here's some more. The past has lots of evidence, but the future has no evidence yet. Faith is choosing what you believe, what you want to believe into your future. Is this cool to hear people's takeaways? I think it's super awesome, but I have just never shared those with people before. And so today I just wanted you to know that at the end of this webinar, you're going to have an aha. You're going to have an aha sometime during this webinar. And what's an aha? It's you learning something that you hadn't considered before. So I want you to keep track of what your aha is, because what I want is I want to have a slide right here that this is where I'm going to put your aha. So I want you to think about that Anne has a spot for the aha for my takeaway today. Anne has a spot for that. So I want you to be thinking about what your takeaway is from what we talk about today. All right, so here's your next question that you get to answer. In this webinar, as I was writing the emails and I was thinking of what we wanted to talk about, and before I gave the information to the people who polish the emails and make them look really nice, which we're so grateful for all the people that help behind the scenes. I was thinking about who is it that I want to talk to it tonight. And the person I want to talk to is the person who has tried so many things. They've tried and tried and tried and tried. And then they still find themselves giving up, disbelieving, or getting stuck. So what I want to know, here's the question I want to ask is, what have you tried in the past to better yourself and then you've given up on? I know everybody has done that before. So in the chat, everybody put at least one answer of something that you have tried to better yourself and then you've given up on. Give me at least one answer, everybody. What's something that you have tried and then given up on? Dieting, journaling, health goals, psychotherapy, not worrying about what other people think, seminars, dieting. Come on. Oh, cleaning out my office, running, biking, improving my relationship, affirmation, cleaning out the office, growing my business, cleaning my home. Okay, everybody keep getting one in there. You got to get at least one. And remember, if you can't put it in the chat, then write it on your paper. Order in my home. So much information, trying to do it right. Building me business, discipline, doing my AM PM routine, daily scripture study, my kids wanting advice, getting up early. Oh, I like that one, Christine. Okay, good. And if somebody else wrote one that you're like, oh yeah, I've tried that too, then write that on your paper so you can remember it. Adjusting my sleep schedule. So here's lots of things that people try too, and then they give up on them. Vision boards, declarations, positive self-talk, therapy, to-do lists, recording a story, telling others what my goals are, about goals, scheduling, all of the things, right? Going to bed earlier, journaling. I'm going to add a few here because they keep coming up. So health improvements, decluttering, meditation, consistency, home projects. Yep. All of you that are watching on YouTube, we have Adam in the background that is gathering your answers and making sure I get those too. So there's a long list of things that we try and we give up on. I mean, we could, if we just sat here for 5 minutes, I bet we could come up with a list of 100 things that we try and we give up on, and we try and we give up on, and we try and we give up on, and we try and we give up on. Does that ever get old? To try things and give up on them? Yeah, we can get very discouraged, even drinking enough water, right, Misty? I like that, Bradford. Haven't given up on prayer, but I do get discouraged. Okay, so that's another important point. Some things we don't give up on them, but we still feel stuck. We do all the things, but I'm still stuck. And so then we stop trying. Well, all right. So I'm gonna give you 2 stories tonight. I'm gonna give you 2 stories. Because one of them, I have 2 mentoring appointments that I'm gonna talk about. One of them was a gentleman and one of them was a lady. And so I'm gonna give 2 different kinds of examples. So one person, but both of them had the same struggle. They had tried all the things, but they were still stuck. They didn't know how to say what they wanted. So let's start first with this person. And I'm going to call this person David. And I got to write that name down so I remember that's what I'm calling him. Okay, so David. So I was talking to David, and David said, I asked David, I said, what do you want? Because this is what I ask people when they come to their mentoring appointments. I'll ask it different ways. Sometimes I'll say, what's your goals? I'll say, what do you want? But either way, I'm asking them, where are you trying to move to? Where are you trying to get to? And when I asked David what he wanted, he said, I don't even know how to tell you what I want because I never get it. No matter how much I try, I never get to what I want. And as I was listening to him, as I was listening to David talk, I realized that what was going on is his comfort zone kept pulling back on him. His comfort zone had a lot of gravity to it, because our comfort zone is a scary place to leave. That's why it's called comfort, because outside of it is what? Uncomfortable, right? So if I'm going to leave my comfort zone, my brain is going to try to help me return back to my comfort zone. If my brain doesn't know what I want, then my brain will help me return to my comfort zone. Okay, write that on your paper. If my brain doesn't know what I want, then it has no choice but to help me return to my comfort zone. And so David was leaving his comfort zone, and he would get faced with, I call this the fear zone. He got faced with what other people think, comparisons, blame, excuses, fear, others' opinions, doubts. All of these things are excuses to go back to bed. Have you ever gotten up in the morning and it was cold out and you went into the bathroom and you turned on the water for the shower and you let it run and then you felt it and it was still cold? Has anybody ever wanted to just go back to bed? Because it's like, I'm not taking a cold shower. It's cold outside. I'm already tired. All I need is a good reason to go back to bed. Or we get up and we look out at the driveway and it's got a foot of snow on it. And it's like, you know what? I can't do it. All I needed was a good excuse and I'm going to go back to bed. How does it feel to go back to bed instead of going and doing your day? How does that feel? Brenda, I'm really good at that one. It feels good, right? It feels so good to go get back in bed. That's what your brain wants for you. Your brain wants that feeling of getting back in bed. I mean, I only had this example because it recently happened to me. I got up in the morning, I turned on the shower, and there was a problem with our water heater. And so the water was cold. And I'm like, I can't. And so I just went and I crawled back in bed and it felt so good. It was like that spot that I had just gotten out of was still kind of warm. So I laid my head on the pillow and I pulled the blankets up over my eyes so I couldn't see any light. And it just felt like, oh, right? Oh, it feels so good. Tell me, raise your hand if you've ever gotten back in bed and just thought, oh, it feels so good. Because if you've never done that, then we need a different example. Oh, yes. Okay. You've done it. You get it. Well, that's what your brain wants for you. Your brain wants you to get to feel that, oh, comfortable feeling. The problem is what our soul wants is it wants the feeling of arriving at a new level. Have you ever done that? Have you ever set a goal and you achieved the goal? Last month in January, I told everybody that that day that I did the webinar, I had achieved a goal that was 4 years in the making. I had worked on a goal for 4 years. For 4 years, I'd worked on this goal. And my goal was, I go to CrossFit. I love CrossFit. I love the feeling of my body getting stronger. Because I keep getting older, but I don't have to keep getting weaker, is what I decided. So I go to CrossFit. And at CrossFit, when I started, they gave me the option of having this. It's a belt that I wear that monitors my heart rate, and it tells me what zone of training I'm in. And what's cool about it is it gives you points. So every time you do a workout, you get points. And when I looked at this system that they were giving me, it said that if you keep doing it for a whole month, it gives you a status. And then if you keep doing it for 2 months, you get a different status. And then 6 months, and then a year, and then 2 years. And I was just looking through all the statuses and I scrolled through them and I got to this one that just leaped out at me. And it was called Hall of Fame status. And I was like, oh, I want Hall of Fame status. For some reason, did you hear my words? I want it. It didn't have to matter to anybody else, but I wanted it. I wanted Hall of Fame status. And I was like, cool, I'm going to get that one. So then I looked at the requirements. To get Hall of Fame status required that you had 4 straight years of every month meeting the minimum requirements of points for your workouts. 4 years, you guys. And I was like, I should have looked at it and gone, well, that's dumb. Why would I ever do something for 4 years? But instead I looked at it and I go, no, I want that. I want Hall of Fame status. I want it. And so let me even look here. I think I even have the picture of my Hall of Fame status. I'll see if I have it here really quick. And so I'm like, I'm gonna do that. I so want my Hall of Fame status. And so for 4 years, for 4 straight years, you guys, every month I was working on Hall of Fame status until last month. And last month, what happened was all of a sudden, I didn't want it anymore. All of a sudden, my brain was like, you know what? This is, we don't really need this. There we go. Icons. We don't need this. You don't really, and I found myself fighting and arguing with my brain every day in the month of January. Every day in the month of January, I found myself arguing with my brain. It's like, it's a dumb goal. Why did you even set this goal? Who cares if you get Hall of Fame status? Nobody's going to see it. Nobody's going to care. And I was like, you know what? You're right. I was believing these comments in my head. My brain was trying to give me a reason to climb back in bed. And for the whole month of January, I kept finding excuses of why not to go to the gym. Because usually I can get my minimum points by the second week of the month. Usually I can, and it's not a big deal. But here it was, this was the 26th of January, the 26th of January. And on the 23rd, I didn't go to the gym. On the 24th, I didn't go to the gym. And I was one measly workout away from achieving my goal. One. Oh, this was the 25th. So I didn't go on the 23rd. I didn't go on the 24th. And then on the 25th, I had a webinar. And so I'm like, I don't have time to go to a workout. And I suddenly stopped and I went, wait a second. I want my Hall of Fame status. And just so you know, you guys, if I didn't complete it in the month of January, it would have made me reset a whole month. And if I missed it twice, it would reset a whole year. And I would have to start over for a whole extra year. You guys, that's a big deal that my brain was fighting with me so much. But I told this story. I said, what got me to change was this, is that on the morning of the 25th, I was laying in bed. I had gone back to bed because I usually go to CrossFit early in the morning. And I had gotten up and I started to walk towards my exercise clothes basket. And I went, you know what? I don't want to. My brain said, it's okay. You don't need to go. Others' opinions don't matter. No one's going to see it. There's no point. And all these comments got me back in bed. And I climbed back in bed and I pulled the covers back up over my head. But in that moment, I heard a super quiet voice, and it did not repeat itself. It only talked once, and it said, Anne, you want this goal. And I was like, and this is what it said next. It said these words right here. It said, today, I crushed a goal 4 years in the making. That's what it said. It said, Anne, you want this. And then it said, Anne, it said, today I crushed a goal 4 years in the making. And I realized that was my soul talking to me, not my brain. My brain had said, yeah, the covers are better. There's lots of great excuses of why you don't need to go do this. There's no reason that it even matters. But when that soul voice talked to me, I was like, oh yeah, I am so doing this. And I got up out of bed. I not only got out of under the covers, I jumped out of under the covers. And I was like, oh yeah, I do want this. And I went to the gym, and as the workout was logging in my app, I sat there ready to take this screenshot. And it says right there, status level. We need angel voices. Oh, Hall of Fame. And I took a screenshot because it was only there for a second. And then I added the words that my soul voice said to me. Crush this goal today. 4 years in the making. 4 years in the making. My soul wants to accomplish goals. My brain wants me to be comfortable. My brain wants to be comfortable. And where is it most comfortable? Going back to bed, going back to sleep. So because going back to bed, going back to sleep is comfortable, we as humans, we allow our thinking to get clouded. We allow our thinking to get clouded because it feels safe to have cloudy thinking. So remember I said that these are the problems that I see that keep happening. Foggy thinking, fragmented communication, and no comfort zone training. And so when David was talking to me and I was listening to him, I realized he had a comfort zone issue. He kept returning to his comfortable bed. He kept getting back under the covers and not moving towards his goals. And so I told him, I said, David, you have a comfort zone problem. Your brain believes that when you leave this comfort zone, you won't go back, you won't be able to get back to it unless you go back to the way things were. Okay, listen to my words. Unless I go back to the way things were, I won't ever get to come back to my comfort zone. And so I told him, I said, David, do you want something bigger than going back under the covers? Do you want something bigger? Yeah, right? Returning to the comfort of chocolate. I went back to bed instead of exercising. Yeah. And so I told him, I said, as long as your brain believes that the only path to your comfort zone is going back to where you were, you won't choose new things to want. Look what my brain did, you guys. I was, how many months is that? 4 years times 12, 48 months. I was 47 months into a goal, and my brain believed that the only way to be comfortable was where? Back at the beginning. Back at the beginning. And as I'm talking to David, I realized his brain believed the same thing. Have you ever had that, you guys? Have you ever gotten to the 99-yard line and didn't get the goal? You didn't walk into the goal zone? Am I the only one that's ever happened to? Raise your hand if you've ever been to the 99-yard line and then you went back to the comfort zone. It's a real frustrating feeling. And it makes us believe that we have a reason to not try. It's a reason to give up. And so I told David, I said, we've got to teach your brain that there is another comfort zone. You need to know that there is this comfort zone. This comfort zone is where what I have now is the default, right? Where going back to bed is the default. Where only having to play as big as I already play is the default. Yeah, I'm too old to make a change. I'm too set in my ways. Right there with my library, returning to the chocolate. So I told David, I said, your brain needs to know that you will arrive at a new comfort zone. So this is what comfort zone training is. And you guys that are already in my personal mentoring or my breakthrough coaching mentoring, listen to what I'm teaching here, because I haven't taught you this yet, but you need to know it. We're going to talk about it more, I promise. But this right here, this comfort zone, where does this one reside? This comfort zone is right out here. This comfort zone is right here. When I arrive at my goal, when I arrive, let's get a people here. Where is a people? So here is, oh, let's get a running people. I love it. Let's get a running people. So this, because we all have a kid inside of us. So what happens is I start to leave my comfort zone and my brain goes, no, I want to be comfortable. And then we run back here where it feels safe, familiar, and in control. And then even when I am 1 yard from my goal, my brain says, and remember what the comfort zone feels like. It's so good. So I need my brain to know that if I'll just cross that final line, I will arrive at a new comfort zone. And notice this comfort zone is bigger than our old comfort zone. It's bigger. And so out here, I have a new comfort zone. But this comfort zone, does it feel the same as the old comfort zone? You've probably never thought about it before, because I know I hadn't. Until I had this moment that I was 1 yard away from my goal, I hadn't considered the fact that I assumed this comfort zone would feel the same as this one. And it actually gave my brain more excuses to return me clear back to the beginning. 47 months backwards. It makes me want to cry just thinking about it. Because why give up 47 months? 47 months worth of work. And the reason why is because my brain thinks that there is no comfort out here. But the reality is this new comfort zone is new. Yeah, like new shoes, right, Brooke? It's new shoes. Once they're worn in, they're the best thing ever. And so just so you know, your gift at the end of this webinar is I'm going to give you the steps that I gave to David to show him how to create his new comfort zone. Because your old comfort zone feels comfortable for a reason. It feels safe. Your old comfort zone has certain rules. It has certain modus operandi. What does that mean? Ways that you operate. So the new comfort zone is going to have new ways of operating, because this new comfort zone is a place where my goals are the default. Not any goal, but the goal that I set to get to this new comfort zone is the default. In other words, think of it this way. What is your comfort zone like? We'll use me as the example. So my comfort zone before CrossFit was don't go to the gym, have an extra hour and a half, because that's about how much of my day CrossFit takes up, because I have a 15-minute drive each direction. So if you don't live out in the country, you won't have that, but I do. I live out in the country, so 15-minute drive to the gym and back. And then I spend an hour at the gym. So CrossFit takes an hour and a half each day. Well, my comfort zone before starting CrossFit was I had an hour and a half extra time. I didn't have to be sore. I didn't have to have a basket of exercise clothes. I could eat what I wanted. There was a lot of comfortable things. And so my old comfort zone, I needed to get clear on what that felt like. But in order for my brain, we need a brain here. Let's get a brain. In order for my brain to feel safe, so here's my brain. Let's get it pink. So here's my brain. In order for my brain to feel safe in the new comfort zone, I have to define that new comfort zone. I have to define it, and I have to write down what the rules are of that new comfort zone. So I'm going to give you the steps that I gave to David. Would anybody like those? Raise your hand for me if you would want those, because I'm going to give you those at the end of the webinar. Okay, so there's people that would like to be able to do that. Because can anybody relate? Can anybody relate to being to their brain? Oh, I need the brain. Come here, brain. Come to the next screen with us, brain. Anybody, can you relate to your brain wanting to run back to the comfort zone? Even when you're clear out here, your brain goes, no, comfortable. I so want comfortable. Vicki, I can absolutely relate, right? Okay, so if you can relate, we're having the right conversation tonight. So this is one of the things that can be a reason why you're not accomplishing your goals. Your brain doesn't know what the new safety zone feels like, because the comfort zone is safe, familiar, and it's in control. Well, in order to feel safe, familiar, and in control, your new comfort zone needs to have parameters. And to have those parameters, there's specific steps you can take. Right, Rachel? It can feel exhausting to move towards our goals and then not accomplish them. That's totally exhausting. And so then let's talk about, I'm going to call this next person, let me get back to my notes, Debbie. So we had David and now we have Debbie. So Debbie, I was talking to Debbie and she didn't have a comfort zone issue, but let me describe what was going on with her and let's see if you can relate. So Debbie and I had met and she had set a goal, and her goal, her bigger goal that she wanted, this was a small piece of that bigger goal. So she had a small thing that she needed to do. And when I gave her this small thing to do, she had 2 weeks to do it. And it wasn't going to take very much time to do it, but she had 2 weeks to do it. And then we were going to talk. So this morning we were talking and I said, so Debbie, did you do your action step? And she's like, no. And then she took about 5 minutes to tell me all the reasons why she hadn't done it. And some of the reasons were, she's like, well, no matter when I tried to do it, there was a distraction. Anybody ever had a distraction? And then I said, okay, let's really look at this. I'm like, how long would it take to do this step that you had to do? And we thought about it and we looked at it and she's like, it would take 5 minutes. And I said, you don't have 5 minutes without a distraction? And she's like, oh, I guess I could find 5 minutes. So it's not really the distractions. And I'm like, that's right. So give me your next excuse. That's how you know a good mentor, when they'll just help you go through the excuses and just figure them out and move on to the next one. And so I'm like, Debbie, tell me the next excuse. And she goes, well, I couldn't do it perfectly. I didn't know, there was because what she had to do was record something on her phone. And she goes, well, there was always background noise and it just wouldn't sound good. And I'm like, but we said that we even got out the notes and it said, you're going to record this imperfectly, because the important part was recording it, getting her past her obstacles, her comfort zone. And she goes, oh yeah, you're right. It doesn't need to be perfect. And I'm like, okay, so that excuse is out the window. What's your next one? Hit me with your next one. And she goes, well, I haven't slept very much. I've been trying to help my little kids, and my older kids, and I'm just so tired because I haven't slept. And so then we talked through sleep. I'm like, okay, why haven't you slept? And we went through it. And she's like, well, okay, sleeping is not why I didn't do my action step. And I'm like, okay, what's the next one? And she goes, you know what? It's because I'm just in survival mode. She said, even though I don't have a baby, it feels like postpartum depression. I can relate to that one. Anybody ever had their youngest child be like 15 years old and you're like, I think I'm having postpartum depression? Anybody relate to that one? Am I the only one? um, right? Okay, Rachel and I can both relate to that. And that's how it was for Debbie too. She's like, oh yeah, I don't have a baby, but it feels like postpartum depression. Getting out of bed is a chore, and being able to even wash my hair is just so much effort. And I'm like, all right, pause right there. Because one of the things that I know when I mentor people, you can be in postpartum depression. I am not saying that's not a thing, because I suffered really bad from postpartum depression, and I had to go research and learn a lot about my body. I know so much about how my physiology works now because I had to figure it out. I didn't have anybody to teach me. And beyond that, when those things are in the right place, because I asked her, I said, when did this start? Because I said, 2 weeks ago when we set this goal, you weren't in depression. And she goes, yeah, it just started when I was trying to do my action step. And so this is what I know. With sudden onset symptoms like that, it can be because there is a conflict going on in your head about believing that the goal is possible. Okay? Because remember, your brain is trying to save you. So I know nobody go out and say, Anne said that postpartum depression is not a thing. I didn't say that. It absolutely is a thing. What I'm saying is, in this case, Debbie didn't have any of those symptoms, and all of a sudden she did. Because, and this is why I had to check in. I didn't just say, oh, that means this. I said, okay, wait a second. I got to know if you believe that your goal is possible. And so she and I went through talking about finding out what she actually believed. When I work towards my goal, I lose all motivation and feel depressed and stop moving. Yeah, exactly, right, Rachel? Because we have to believe that something is possible, or our brain will save us from it. Your brain is trying to save you. And just unfortunately, your brain doesn't always know best what to do. Your soul knows, but your brain doesn't. But your soul is quiet. It's not insistent. Your brain is loud and insistent. Your brain is like a toddler, and it is going to be as loud as it needs to be heard. But our soul voice and the goals that we want to accomplish, yeah, right, Brooke, your brain will kill you with kindness. Yes, that's a good way to put it, because it just wants to save you from yourself. But we have to stand up, and instead, we need to move our way forward. And there are specific things that we have to do to move ourselves forward. So here's the drawing that I made for Debbie. I said, what's going on, Debbie, is this. Because through our personal mentoring, I've taught her how to build a positive foundation, okay? And everybody, the way you build your positive foundation is going to be individualized to you and what your brain needs. Because your brain got certain programming while you were growing up, and that programming can work against you. Where's my brain? There's my brain. That programming can work against you. So I teach people to build themselves a positive foundation. And when they build that positive foundation, where is hers? There we go. Now she had this foundation to stand on. Then once we have this foundation, so let me move her obstacles here for a second. I then asked her to choose what she wanted to do. And so she chose what she wanted. And what she wanted had to do with her family and music. She loves music and she loves her family. And so we got her goal, her action step was to record a song on her phone. Any song. Oh, You think I should share my screen when I'm pointing at it? Thank you for telling me that, everybody. Woohoo! Is that better? Okay. What did that just do? All right, you can see my screen now, yes? All right. And so I taught her to build a positive foundation, and then her action step was to record a song on her phone. Just any song on her phone. Is that a simple action step, you guys? You don't have to let anybody else hear it. How many of you could pull out your phone and you could sing a song on your phone and record it? Could you do that? It's not terribly difficult. Some of you are like, no, not if anybody could hear me. Can I delete it right afterwards? There's probably all kinds of little voices going on in your head. Just any song. You could sing Happy Birthday, Rachel, just any song. It's just, the goal is just to allow herself to be recorded, because I've lost my hands. There's my hands. There they are. Okay. Her goal, what is going on? Sorry, hang on. My computer has a mind of its own. It's trying to launch. Apparently, my computer launched a survey in the webinar. Okay, let's do a survey. I didn't even know I had that. All right, you guys, really quick answer. We're going to take a quick detour. I want you to, everybody, answer the quiz that just came up on your screen. Answer the quiz really quick, okay? What are the top 3 areas that you struggle with? And you have 60 seconds to answer it. Okay, 1/3 of you have answered, 46%. Half of you have answered. Okay, 30 more seconds. Don't worry, there's no right or wrong answers. Just choose your top 3. You have 10 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, stop. Okay, there we go. All right, so we'll come back to our poll. Now, where are my hands? There they are. And there they go. Okay, so now let me get back to sharing my screen. And then the hands disappear. So this is what, all right, there we go. Okay, I figured out all of the buttons. Is technology ever an excuse to not get to your goal? It can try to be. All right. So now here's what's going on for Debbie. I taught her to build a positive foundation. I gave her, we came up with a little action step to move towards her goal, and she got sideswiped because she had obstacles that came up. Remember, her obstacles were distraction, perfectionism, no sleep, stories, and survival mode. These were her obstacles that came up. Now, here's the thing. You hang around me long enough, I'm going to teach you that when you go for a goal, you want to expect opposition to come, because you cannot be the same person when you accomplish a goal that you were when you set the goal. Did you know that? Let me say that one more time. You won't be the same person when you accomplish the goal that you were when you set the goal. So there is going to be opposition that comes up. There's going to be opposition, because look at this. Look at this. In our poll right here, the top 3 areas I struggle with, the number 1 answer was taking action. Taking action was the number 1. And so I know that we're having the right conversation today, because this is what happened for Debbie as well. She needed to take an action, but the obstacle of distraction came up. And instead of her taking that obstacle and going, oh my gosh, there's an obstacle, it's trying to stop me. Thank you for showing me that I can get stronger and accomplish this step. So that opposition can become something I stand on top of, so that I can get closer to what I really want. But instead, what Debbie was doing was she took that distraction and she said, oh, distraction, thank you for giving me and something I could pick up and hold on to, so that it's harder to move up towards that dream. So then perfectionism came. So she could have stood on top of that perfectionism. She could have, but instead, what did she say? She said, oh, perfectionism, thank you. Here's another thing I can weigh myself down with. Here's another thing I can weigh myself down with. Oh, here's another one. Sleep, thank you. I wasn't heavy enough yet. There was still a chance. There was still a chance that I could get up here. Oh, phew. So let's add another one. And then let's add some more. And so she got buried in enough things that she couldn't take the step. She was too weighed down. This was her brain keeping her down. Hear my words, you guys. Her brain was keeping her down. If you're struggling with taking action, this is why. Because your opposition that comes, you're not standing on top of it. You are letting it weigh you down. But when I heard the survival mode one, when I heard that one, or the no sleep one, that's another one when I might ask these questions, I knew that there was a lack of belief in her goal. There was a lack of belief. So now I started asking her questions. So I have a series of questions that I'll walk somebody through. And as I asked her those questions, we found an old story. And the old story is that dreaming is bad, it's dangerous, and it keeps you unavailable to those who matter most to you. Now, your story will be individual to you. It will be individual to you. But hers was that dreaming is bad, that setting a goal is bad. So her brain has to save her from it, right? Her brain has to save her because dreaming is bad. If I record a song, what's going to happen? She's going to be a whole level closer to what she wants, to that dream. And if your dream conflicts with stories in your head, then your brain has to save you. That's your brain's job. Your brain's job is to keep you alive and comfortable. And so your brain will be a bad brain if it doesn't do its job and save you from your story. And you don't want your brain to be a bad brain. So if I don't want my brain to break, or I don't want to ruin my brain, then what do I change, you guys? What do I change? Yeah, Vicki says, I've always thought my brain only works for me, never against me. Yeah, it does. It works for you. So if you don't want your brain to be broken, you've got to change the story. So this is why I love getting to do what I do, because I specialize in helping people unravel what that story is. And so I helped her put words to the story. And then I helped her attach emotion to that story. I says, what does that story feel like? And she said, it feels like suffering and burying. I don't know if I spelled it right, but she felt buried under the story. And her brain had to keep saving her. Her brain had to save her from the story. So I wasn't ever going to tell her brain, you're doing it wrong. Her brain's doing it right, you guys. Her brain is saving her. So what we got to do is change the story. And so I helped her craft a new story. So here's her new story. Dreaming helps shape you into more of who you are. That's where she started, okay? And then we went to living my dreams helps God shape me into who he sent me here to be and gives me hope and gives hope to and lifts others. And then I said, okay, how does that story feel? And she goes, that new story feels like flying. It feels freeing. It feels exciting. Is her brain going to stop something that is good for her? No, her brain isn't going to stop what's good for her. The problem is your brain doesn't know what's good for you unless you tell it. It doesn't know. It can only go off of the stories. And if you didn't watch my October webinar or my January webinar where I talked about our coping patterns that we got from our childhood, that's where a lot of these stories came from. And our brain is just defending them. Poor brain, it takes a lot of flack when all it's trying to do is keep me safe. It's just doing its job. My brain wants to do its job. I'm going to write that right here. My brain wants to do its job. It so does. It wants to do its job, and it was doing its job. And so what did it do? It kept Debbie from recording a song on her phone. That's what she had to do, but it would have taken her towards her dream. So what is your brain stopping you from doing because it's deemed it unsafe? Tell me that. Tell me that in the chat. What is your brain protecting? How is your brain protecting you in a way that frustrates you? What does it do for you? Does it get you to crave junk food? Does it get you to hold on to lots of extra junk in your life or lots of extra stuff that would never be labeled junk? But it becomes clutter in your life? Does your brain hold on to old ideas? What does your brain do to try to help you? Because this was very fascinating. I love what Debbie said here. In my notes, I wrote it down because I loved it so much. Because I showed her this. I showed her this, and she goes, oh my gosh. She goes, I just realized that my body is complying with the messages from my brain. Okay, let me say that one more time. It was so good what Debbie said. My body is complying with the messages from my brain. So that's where her survival mode and her no sleep were coming from, because her body was complying with the messages from the brain. And the brain was saying, dreaming is bad, it's dangerous, and it will make you unavailable to those that matter the most to you. Debbie's got a good brain, Debbie. But we needed to help it let go of an old story. And so we got rid of this old story and we changed her new story into a declaration that she could say and put it into her foundation, because her positive foundation could now be strengthened. And so her new declaration is, living my dreams helps God shape me into who he sent me here to be. Me living my dreams gives hope to and lifts others. You guys, when she said this, it gave me chills. It gave me absolute chills, because she had broken an old pattern. And that's what stops us from our goals. It's not that you're too lazy. It's not that you're too weak. It's not that you're too old or too set in your ways. It's none of that. It's that your brain doesn't know that you actually want something different. Right? Yeah, I love all your comments that are coming in, because there's a lot. My brain loves to do that too. It loves to tell me that eating junk food, because you know what junk food does, you guys? Where does it help me go? Back to my comfort zone. It helps me go back to my comfort zone. Because imagine if you defined your old comfort zone with your old eating habits, but then you defined your new comfort zone with your new eating habits. When you are clear on what you want, you cannot stay stuck. Let me say that one more time. When you are clear on what you want, you cannot stay stuck, because your brain will be excited to move to the new level. If it's not, if it's shutting you down, it's because if you so like a lot of you have mentioned the health goals. So I got to talk about that for a second. If you have checked with your doctor, okay, because I'm not a medical doctor, if you've checked with your doctor and you've had the appropriate blood test and you know that everything else is the way it should be in your body, then it's your body obeying your brain. But there are times, just like postpartum depression, there are times that you need help from your doctor to be able to make sure that other things are the way they should be. I spent $3,000 once getting blood tests to find out that I had a vitamin D deficiency. I spent $3,000 to find out that I needed a $10 remedy. But you know what? I needed it. I couldn't overcome my vitamin D deficiency. So what I'm trying to tell you is that your body can need things. But remember, I told you when Debbie's story, this was sudden onset, no sleep and survival mode. And so that showed me that we needed to ask more questions. We needed to ask more questions. And those questions helped us to find her old story and to find her new story. Oh, and then listen to this. I love this because this is what Debbie said. She said, at the end of this appointment, because I taught her all of this, this was the picture we drew for her. And she told me I could share it with you guys because I'm like, I think other people need to hear this. And so I asked, and she said that I could share it. So you guys should all say thank you to Debbie in the chat, even though her name's not really Debbie, but that's okay. But you guys should all say thank you if you're grateful that she let me show her her slide right here. Because once I got to tell you this part right here. Our emotions, in order to stay, when we pick up all this opposition and we carry it to keep ourselves heavy and weighed down, the way that those stay tied to us are with emotional cords. And the emotional cords are resentment, self-pity, frustration, anxiety. These were hers, but those are very common ones. These bind the opposition to me. They keep me buried. So I need these negative emotions to keep the opposition holding me down. Because if I know what I want, what happens? It's like me when I was under my covers and I was like, no, I want my Hall of Fame status. And I burst out of my covers. I burst out of them. You can't be held down when you know what you want. And so if you aren't accomplishing your goals, it's because your brain is trapped by a story that you didn't realize is counteracting the goal that you set. We have to change the stories. We got to change the stories. And so then Debbie said to me this, she goes, at the end of the appointment, I wrote this down because I loved it so much. She goes, I can't believe how many muscles in my body have relaxed that have not relaxed in weeks. I love that she said that. Because I watched her. I watch body language. It's what I do. So I watched her through the camera. I saw her relax. I heard her voice tones change. I saw the body language that showed that she had taken on the start of the new story. Now, your brain can reach out and grab the old story and shove it back in because it's familiar. And so I told Debbie, I said, every morning you've got to wake up and say this out loud. Living my dreams helps God shape me into who he sent me here to be. Me living my dreams gives hope to and lifts others. Just like it's lifting all of us tonight. There's no accident that I got to have this appointment earlier today so that we could teach it to everyone tonight. Because we need it. We need to know our brain's not broken. We're not lazy. We're not bad. We're not weak. We're not any of those negative comments that go through our head. What we are is our brain is defending stories that we aren't clear on. And it's defending those stories because it's a good brain. Tell your brain, reach up and pat it. Say, I have a good brain. Good brain. Nice brain. Oh, pat both sides of it. Come on, some of you aren't playing. Pat both sides of it and just tell it, good brain. You have a good brain, you guys. You also have stories from your experiences. And so it comes down to this. So this is the last thing I taught Debbie, is that because she told me when she showed me this story, I said, why do you have this story? And she started to give me all the evidence from her past. And I told her, I said, evidence does not come before belief. As an adult, as a child, it's a different story and we would have to have a different webinar. But as an adult, when I have fully online both sides of my brain, then the evidence comes after belief. We can find evidence. We can find evidence of what we choose to believe. You guys, nothing in your future is a reality yet. It's not. So there is no future. There is no evidence in your future. All evidence, unfortunately, resides in your past. And so when you're picking a new thing that you've never done before, or maybe something you haven't done in a long time, when you choose that, you're believing something that hasn't happened yet. And you want to be able to do that. Our brain is wired to be able to believe things that are not in existence yet. Your brain can believe things. Let me say that again. Your brain can find evidence of things that aren't true because it believes them. So I have a couple of stories for you here really quick. One is, I read a story once about when the Pilgrims first landed in the United States, before it was the United States. The Indians had never seen a ship before. And so their brain, they said that there were clouds that were moving across the ocean, because the sails, they had no words for what that was. So they said it's clouds. So their brain saw it as clouds because that's what it believed. It didn't make it true. Look at the Wright brothers. The Wright brothers decided that they wanted to be able to fly. This is what sets us apart from the animal kingdom. Animals do not believe things that aren't reality yet. They just believe what is. But humans, the Wright brothers said, men can fly. And everybody said to them, there is no evidence that men can fly. They said, men don't have feathers. They can't fly. When men jump off of something, they fall. Men can't fly. All the evidence pointed to men can't fly. Is that true? So there was no evidence yet that men could fly. It didn't mean it couldn't become true. So in scripture, it says that God wants us to have faith. What is faith? Faith is believing something that you can't yet see. So that is teaching us how to use our brain. That's how I look at that, is that I want to believe my future into existence. I want to believe my future into existence. Doesn't mean I believe dumb things, like I'm not going to grow 8 arms in the future. But if it's super important to me to have 8 arms, I could come up with a way to have a device that I wear that makes it so I have 8 arms. I can believe my future into existence. I get a little passionate about this because as a body language expert, I see all the time where people hold themselves back. So by now, I'm sure you've seen that I'm very passionate about what I do. I'm very passionate about helping people get out of their bondage. And the thing is the bondage, we don't realize that what it is our brain defending what it has been told it believes. Your brain has been told what it believes. Because as children, we absorb programs directly into our brain. This is why we have what's called intrinsic memory. Intrinsic memory is memory that you can't put words on because it's experiences that were absorbed directly into our subconscious. This is how we get programmed growing up. But some of that programming is stories that my brain is defending as an adult. And so I have to change the stories. I have to change them. So at the, wow, it's already 8:30. Are you guys learning something? Have you learned something tonight? Yes, raise your hand if you have learned something. Because remember, I told you at the beginning, you would have an aha of some kind, and I want you to write it down because at the end, I'm going to ask you to tell me what it was. So in breakthrough coaching, what I've been teaching people, so this is exactly how we run towards our dreams instead of continually running from tigers. This is exhausting. This is exciting. This is empowering. This is liberating. And so in breakthrough coaching, I teach everybody how to visualize, how to verbalize, how to use their body and movement, how to learn new things, how to review your day. I teach these things because this is how you show your brain what you want. You have to show it. Your brain doesn't know automatically what to want. So it will defend your past programs. It will defend your past experiences. So let me figure out which slide I'm on here. Okay. And so I want to be able to see opposition as an opportunity to rise above where I'm at. But I also want, and I've taught this before, but what's new tonight is that you have to know that if you're getting too stuck in moving towards what you want, it's because there is a story that your brain believes more than the goal that you set. And when your brain believes a story more than the goal that you have set, then it has to save you. Your brain has to save you. Your brain wants to do its job. And so it saves us. It saves us. So I need to remember that I can choose to believe something and then look for evidence of it instead of going, I can't because of past evidence. Thank your past for what it's done for you, and then choose your new future. Choose that new future. Belief comes before the evidence, not the evidence before the belief. And so when you choose what you want, because this is what happened to Debbie. I asked her, I said, why this story? And she said, because this is how it's played out in my family. This is how it's played out in my family. And I said, okay, that's in the past. What do you want for you? Oh, and let's see if I wrote this down. I don't know if I did, but but what I said was, I said, you're so afraid of becoming your dad that you won't become Debbie. And she's like, oh my gosh, I can't be me because I'm too afraid of becoming my dad. I'm running from that fear of becoming him instead of stepping in to who I am, instead of stepping into my dream. So what are you running from instead of choosing what to run towards? I love that. Yep, you guys deserve to be you. You can't be a good anybody else. Did you know that? You can't be a good anyone else, but you can be a good you. But you got to quit running from what you're afraid of. Wow, we talked about some good things tonight. All right, so I told you that at this webinar, at the end of the webinar, I'm going to give you the directions that I gave to David on what to do with his comfort zone. Because for Debbie, I told her, I gave her individualized action steps for her, because we found out what her brain wants to do. So I got her specific action steps for her. This is what she needs. So this is what a personal mentoring appointment does for you, is I help you unravel your story and set you up with action steps towards your new version of you. Those of you who have ever had a personal mentoring appointment with me, because I see some names here that I remember or that I recognize, tell me in the chat, is this true? Is this what we do in a personal mentoring appointment? Do I help you find an old story? And do we come up with action steps to move you forward, so that other people can hear it from me? Is that what happens? Lynn says yes. Let's see who is on here. That Sally. Oh yes, it's wonderful. Sally, oh, I love seeing you. Tori, yep, I love personally mentoring with Anne. Yep, it helps me see myself better, because sometimes we need outside eyes looking in. So in the Breakthrough Coaching Program, what I do is this. I teach every Monday. Every Monday, we have a 2-hour training / Q&A where you can ask questions, where you come and you tell me your struggles and I help you get past them. And I also teach you what has been a recurring theme in my personal mentoring clients. So for example, on Monday, February 13th, I taught them how to start their day at a higher level. Because remember, I said your day is going to try to pull down on you. Statistically, studies have shown you have more willpower in the morning than you do in the afternoon or evening. And so those of you who are struggling with health goals or clutter goals or things that have to do with action on a deliberate basis, remember that you have more willpower in the morning than you do in the afternoon or the evening. And so I taught them how to change the emotions that they start their day with, how to step into the future in a 5-minute activity that you do in the morning. In this 5-minute activity that you do in the morning, You reframe your day before it happens. Because our past wants to be the lens that we look at tomorrow with. But as long as I do that, I can't create a new reality. To create a new reality, you've got to be able to change the way you look at your day before you have your day. And so when people join Breakthrough Coaching, when they log in, this is called your member library. And if you notice over here on the side, it says coaching replays. And when you click on coaching replays, you can go to Monday, February 13th, and you can watch the training because 3 recordings are always in that library. And so let's say you signed up tonight for Breakthrough Coaching. You would log into that member library and you could click on that recording and it would already be there as a bonus that wouldn't even be part of the 14 weeks that you're getting when you join Breakthrough Coaching. Because I want to be part of your life and a voice of positivity in your head for the next 14 weeks. I want to do that. And you want to know why? I have a story for you. This is why. My husband shared this with me today. He said, there's this survivalist, and maybe you guys know who he is. I didn't know who he was. His name is Bear Grylls, Grylls, Bear Grylls. And he is apparently really well known in the survivalist arena and TV survivor shows. And so he actually has started taking people out into the wilderness, and he does these survival shows. So now it's not just him, he takes other people. And my husband was watching an episode, and in this episode, they decided to take 14 women to one island and 14 men to another island, because they just wanted to see, is there any difference on who will survive, women or men? Who has the most ability to survive? And my husband, when he was telling me this story, I was like, oh, so who survived more, the women or the men? I was like, so interesting. And he goes, I don't know, because that's not what they ended up talking about. And I'm like, really? What did they talk about? And he goes, what they highlighted was this. When he dropped them off at the island, they're like, any last advice? What are you going to tell us? What should we do? And he goes, my advice for you is this. He goes, you're going to jump in the water. You're going to swim to the island. What will help you the most is 3 words. And he said, positivity, positivity, positivity. And they're like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever. And they jumped and went to their island. Then he did the same for the guys. And he goes, my advice for you is positivity, positivity, positivity. And they're like, what in the heck? What, how is that? How is that good advice? And so then as the days went by, he said it was only a few days in and people started quitting. They were crying, they were giving up. They're like, I can't do this. It's too hard, because it's like ultimate. They don't give them anything. They're just surviving. And he started showing, this is what happened. A few days in, there was one more guy. For this one, it was one of the guys. He was about to quit. And he finally succeeded at something. And what it was is he caught some fish. He succeeded at catching fish, and everybody was going to finally get to eat because they hadn't had much to eat. And he caught some fish. And he was like, oh my gosh. He goes, I can't believe how good I feel having just accomplished this. I can't believe I think I can do this. I can do this. We get to eat. We finally get to eat. We're going to get to move forward. And this survivalist guy, he's the narrator for this. He backs up and he goes, I can predict who will survive by their ability to return to positivity. You're going to have hard struggles. And this is not only look at life with rose-colored glasses. He said, what this is if you have an ability to return to a belief that things are possible, then you will survive. And that's what I want to instill in people. That's why I do what I do, is I want to put in you a belief that things are possible long enough for them to become possible. Because you have to believe it before you can find the evidence. You got to believe it first. Otherwise, the evidence of the old story will be what you repeatedly find. You'll find it over and over and over again. And so every single Monday, except if there's a major holiday, then we move it to another day. But on Monday, from 11 a.m. Mountain to 1 p.m. Mountain, I am on there live, and we record it. So some people can't be there live. I have about half the people that are in Breakroot through coaching right now that join live. And some of them will jump on during their lunch hour and then they jump off. Others will be there the whole time. And then the next week they can't. That's why I have a recording. But whenever you can be there live, you can ask me questions live. And whenever you can't, you watch me answer other people's questions. Just like you watched me tell you about Debbie's appointment and David's appointment today, you learn from those. And it keeps your life moving towards what you are believing into existence. I want you to be able to believe amazing things into existence. You can believe better. You can believe better fitness. You can believe better organization. If you saw my emails, I just upgraded my office space right here. My old office space was so cluttered because I had these giant lights that took up so much space. My new space here, let's see, I might even have my pictures I can pull up here. Here's my old space. Come on, move over here. Here's my old space. See how these giant lights were taking up so much room? And this right here was a stand-up desk that took up all this space. And then these are props that I used during classes. And so it was just cluttered and it just didn't feel that great. And I was like, you know what? I want it to be different. I want it to be better. And so I have, and so when we start changing things, what'll happen is it's not our new vision all at once. So I had, you can't see over here, but I had a bunch of things on the floor and over here on the floor. And I started making a mess. It's messy in the middle, you guys. And so that's why it's so wise. So here's all the parts that I was getting rid of there's that stand-up desk and all the balloon lights and extra, even had a cat thing and extra plastic plant that I didn't need. When I want to be around people that can hold me together during the messy in the middle, right? And so I got through the messy in the middle, and then I arrived at this new version of my office. Here's the new upgraded view of what I am using for my office. Where did that picture just go? I don't know. So you want to have people around you that will help you hold on to belief long enough to create it into existence. This just feels so much better. And what's cool about it is, look at this. I can even push a button and it's now a stand-up table instead of a stand-up desk. And my lights are attached to the table, so they go with it. So this raises and lowers at the push of a button, which is so cool. But it wasn't like that to begin with. I had to believe it into existence. So you're going through an upgrade. Your life is an upgrade process. It's an upgrade process. And so I choose to share my life with people who are choosing upgrades. And so the Breakthrough Coaching Program, I bring all my expertise to the program. I'm a body language expert. I'm a psychology, mind, heart, and body expert. I have a science background. I understand and have neuro skills to help unlock growth and evolution in people. I am a creation and emotion expert. And I've worked with thousands and thousands of people. And so I choose every Monday to spend my time in this group mentoring. But the thing is, remember, I told you that this appointment that I had with Debbie, this was a one-on-one appointment that helped her to unravel that. And so what I've done is this. What I've done is I have a link right here that if you would like to understand more about the breakthrough coaching and you choose into the program, if you choose into the program, the first 5 people that join the program are going to get 2, not just 1, but 2 personal mentoring appointments with me. I want to be able to help you personally. But the cool thing is, you also, in addition to that, have 14 weeks that you're working with me where I'm holding you accountable to the amazing person that you are, not who you're afraid you might become like, but who you want to be. And so I love what Debbie says. She said this at the end of her appointment after she said, like I told you before, I can't believe how many muscles in my body have relaxed that I haven't relaxed in weeks. And then she said this, I have a light on inside of me. I have hope again. And I didn't think it was possible to feel that anymore. How quickly we can get completely buried by doubt and discouragement. They are very big tools of the adversary. Doubt and discouragement bury us quickly. They're like quicksand. And so we need to know how to keep ourselves moving forward to the amazing person that we're becoming. Oh yeah, this is such good stuff, you guys. What we choose to believe, we can find evidence of. Declare what you want. Declare what you want. Who do you want to be and you haven't been able to get there? Let me help you. So this is how it works. To register for the Breakthrough Coaching Program, we have it set up that first I have a phone call with you. Yes, me. If you click on this link that's in the chat, or you scan this QR code, or you can type this in your URL, it will pull up my calendar. And I made available, I counted them, I counted 11 spots that I made available for people from this webinar that they can schedule a phone call with me. Now, when you schedule that phone call, we can tell who scheduled the phone calls first. But what matters most is that if you choose into the program, I'm going to tell you all about breakthrough coaching. And if you choose into the program, you're going to get these 2 bonus appointments with me if you're one of the first 5 people. So what that means is when you click on this link, it's going to ask you some questions, and then it's going to let you choose a date and time to talk to me. I suggest you choose the soonest one so that you can be one of those first 5 people, because I love yes, Karen, if you sign up for Breakthrough Coaching, you get those 2 bonus appointments with me. And when people call the office and they ask just to purchase an appointment with me, it's $897 for an appointment with me. And I'm gifting you 2 of them. I'm gifting you 2 of them. So it's doubling the value of the Breakthrough Coaching Program. So Karen, if you don't want to hold a phone call with me, you just want to be able to be one of the first people, then just chat to me directly and I can give you a link so that you can look at the Breakthrough Coaching Program. But here's what you do, Karen, here's what you do. You click on this, it's in your chat right there. See where it says 3ke.to/talk to Ann, click on that. And then answer the questions really fast and pick an appointment time tomorrow. Okay? Right, Tori? talking to me on the phone alone is totally worth it. Yep. And so if you are already currently in my breakthrough coaching, or if you've been in my breakthrough coaching before and you want to be able to have something like this, then schedule a phone call with me and I'll tell you what I can do for you. Okay. So like people who have been in breakthrough coaching before, I see some of you in here, like Sally and Lynn and Diane and other people that have been in my class before. If you want to join again, then schedule a phone call because I have an extra special deal for you. So I highly recommend it. Remember, there's only 11 slots. So get on the schedule. Oh, Rachel. So yes, you're still good. Because I was just saying that we can tell who's scheduled first. And so you'll be able to talk to me and still have that opportunity to sign up and get the 2 mentoring appointments. Yes, Rachel. And enjoy your son's birthday. My daughter's birthday was this week, so I totally get it. So happy birthday to your son. Okay, so I'm trying to make sure I answer all of the questions. Okay, so what do? You click on the link, you schedule a phone call. I'm going to call you. On the phone. We're going to talk. I'm going to ask you some questions. I'm going to give you a link to be able to register for breakthrough coaching if it's a good fit for the 2 of us. Okay. And then if what you would rather do is you want to just like be crazy and mentor with me for a whole year, I do actually have 2 open slots in my personal mentoring. And one of those somebody already texted me about earlier today. So I might have only 1 opening available. But if you want to mentor with me for a whole year, schedule a phone call and I'll tell you what that looks like and how I can help you create the future you want instead of recreating your past over and over and over again. Make sense? Okay, if there's any other questions, go ahead and type them in the chat over here. You guys are doing so good. I love this. All right, so remember, I said at the end of the webinar, you have to tell me what an aha is that you had from this webinar. Adam, can you help Karen or Brittany in the chat? Thank you. So everybody in the chat, I want you to tell me what is something that you learned tonight. What is an aha? It's because the act of writing it is going to help your brain understand it better. And so what is an aha that you had? And type it in the chat so that I can see it. Belief comes before evidence. We can believe ourselves into our future. Isn't that good? Yep. Scan. Karen, you can try scanning this QR code. Here, I have a bigger one if that would help. So type an aha that you had for me into the chat. There you go. There's the big one right there. I deserve to be me and I can be a good me. Right, Debbie? Oh, your name's Debbie. I love it. Okay. When you are clear on what you want, you cannot stay stuck. Right, right, Sally? Love that. Our brain takes us back to the comfort zone. My aha is that I am not clear enough with what I truly want. And that is why I stay stuck. When you're clear on what you want, you cannot stay stuck. Yeah, that one, Misty, has taken me a decade to learn. Oh my goodness. That's such a good one. Our brain works to anchor us in the known waters to keep us safe. Yep. My brain doesn't know what I want. Yes, virtually seeing the new comfort zone. I can actually teach my brain new ways to think. You have to know what you want or your brain will go back to your comfort zone. Right, Sue and Ray? You're both here tonight. So cool to see both of you guys. I love it, love it, love it so much. And that's the thing, you know, if you and your spouse want to both do breakthrough coaching, tell me on your phone call because I have a special deal for couples as well. All right, you guys, here's what I promised. You stayed to the end of the webinar. Well done. Well done. Do this for me. Reach up, pat yourself on the back, say, I am doing awesome. Because you know what? We don't always get credit for our awesomeness. And I want you to have some credit for your awesomeness. So here are the steps that I gave David to create a new comfort zone. The number one thing is choose a goal. Choose a goal. And then define the new comfort zone. What would a comfort zone be like where this goal is easy to achieve? In other words, let's use Debbie as the example. She wants to be able to do more music. And so a comfort zone that where it's easy to do more music is a comfort zone where she likes being recorded. She likes being seen. And you put words. So remember how I drew the two circles? Draw inside of this comfort zone. What does it feel like in this new comfort zone? And then as a bonus, you can even draw it in here. What does it feel like in the old comfort zone? Okay. And then number 3, so this is what we were answering. What does it feel like to be who I am in that new comfort zone? This one was for David in particular, because we realized that there was a belief in his head that he needed other people's permission to grow into a new version of himself. And I left it on here because I'm willing to bet that some of you, if you ask yourself that question, whose permission am I looking for? And then make it portable. Make the new comfort zone portable. So that means that you create imagery in your head that you can take that comfort zone and carry it with you. Oh my gosh, you guys, when you get to have a personal mentoring appointment with me, we can talk a lot more about that. But the short answer is make your comfort zone portable and take it with you so that you show your brain that you are safe. Define rules for that new comfort zone. What are the rules? When people interact with me in my new comfort zone, are they respectful? Are they kind? Do they listen to me? What are your rules? Also, take time to write down what is my go-to recovery self-care. My go-to recovery self-care at the end of a week is an Epsom salts bath. That's my go-to one. If I can't take time for that, my next go-to is to go out in nature and to get my feet, not today, but when there is grass, get my feet in the grass. And then fail-safe statements. Oh, shoot. I meant to take that one off of there. I wasn't going to explain all of that. All right. I will, since I left it on there. So a fail-safe statement is a statement that reminds you why you want that new state. It's why you want that new comfort zone. So like for Debbie, it was her declaration, was her fail-safe statement. When she felt herself going back to her old comfort zone, she pulls out that statement. And her statement was, living my dreams helps God shape me into who he sent me here to be. Me living my dreams gives hope to and lifts others. So come out with your fail-safe statement. When you feel yourself being sucked back to the old comfort zone, what will you say to yourself? Okay. So I highly recommend that when you sign up for Breakthrough Coaching and you schedule that first personal mentoring appointment with me, that you bring this with you. Bring this with you. And I will teach you more about these things because I'm all about helping people get what they need for themselves. One of my superpowers is that I don't just give blanket information to everybody and I say, now go do it. I help people cater it and shape it so that it fits them really well. I'm like a tailor for your mind and your heart, so that things fit really, really well. All right, so take a screenshot of this so that you can go work on your new comfort zone. Cool? Brenda, I love it. No kidding. She's really good at that. All right, did you get a screenshot? If you did, raise your hands so I know I can go off of that screen. Cool? Awesome. All right, you guys, I really am excited for the people that choose into the breakthrough coaching, because you and me, we're going to be in the same space for 14 weeks, you guys. I'm going to hold you accountable for your amazingness. I'm going to help you believe your future into existence, because that's what we're here for. I know how your brain works. I'll help you know how to use it. It's so much fun. It's just like Debbie said, it's like flying. It feels so free. So I want you to be able to relax muscles that haven't been able to relax for days or weeks or years. I want you to be able to step into that amazing version of you. And so I'm looking forward to working with you guys over the next 14 weeks. If you have any more questions, put them in the chat. And I'm going to go back and read all your ahas, because I just love that we're growing and learning together. You guys, this planet has more and more foggy that's coming on it. You can look in the news and see more and more negative on a daily basis. The fog is causing the world to be asleep and blind. So we need you to stand up and be somebody who chooses to look ahead. Because the more of us that do that, the more we lift the fog from the planet. And that's who I choose to be. I choose to be somebody who wakes up and looks ahead. Can't wait to see you again soon. I love you. Thank you for being here tonight. Mwah!